The stars had never felt so cold. Captain Park stood at the bridge his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the endless darkness through the main window. The ship was old. 20 years of service had left marks on her hull, scars from asteroid impacts and close calls with pirates. But she was reliable. She was home. "Captain, we are picking up something strange," said from her communication station. Her voice was calm, but had served with her long enough to hear the worry underneath. He turned. "What kind of strange?" "A distress signal, very weak, coming from Sector 749. Lieutenant Commander looked up from her tactical display. "That sector is uncharted. No human ships should be out there." "It is not a human signal," said. "The pattern is alien." The bridge went quiet. In the year 2347, humanity had spread across dozens of star systems. They had met alien species. Some were friendly. Most kept their distance. The galaxy was vast and humans were still newcomers to it. Made his decision quickly. "Set course for the signal. Minu, take us in slow." Minu, the young navigation officer, nodded and adjusted their heading. He was only 26 years old, but his hands were steady on the controls. Some called him the best pilot in the Korean Space Forces. Believed them. They moved through the dark. An hour passed, then two. The signal grew stronger. "I see something," Minu said. "Small object, looks like an escape pod." They brought it aboard carefully. Chief Engineer supervised the operation, making sure the pod did not damage their already tired hull. When the pod opened, the smell hit them first. Blood, burned flesh, something chemical. Dr. Lee pushed forward. She was the ship's medical officer and she had studied alien species for 15 years, but even she stopped when she saw what was inside. The creature was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and 4 arms. Its chest was crushed. Dark fluid leaked from its mouth. It was dying. Whispered, "They are a peaceful species, diplomats and traders." The alien's eyes opened. They were silver like mirrors reflecting pain. It saw, then looked past her too. "Human," it said. The word came out broken, wet with blood. Stepped closer. "We found your signal. We are here to help." They made a sound that might have been a laugh. "No help, too late for me, for you." It grabbed arm with surprising strength. The Covenant, they voted, all 700 species, one decision, unanimous. "What decision?" asked. "Your kind, humans, too dangerous, too fast. You spread like fire, you adapt like water, you fight like nothing we have ever seen." The alien coughed and more dark fluid spilled from its lips. "They are coming, 3,000 ships. They will burn your Earth, kill every human, everywhere." The bridge crew stared in horror, found her voice first. "Why, we have done nothing to them." "You exist," they said. "That is enough. You went from stone tools to starships in 10,000 years. We took 100,000. They are afraid of what you will become." Its grip on weakened. "I tried to warn, tried to stop the vote. They killed my delegation. I ran, but I am too slow. You must warn your people. Run, hide, survive." "How long do we have?" asked. "The Armada reaches Earth in 40 days. Then the died. Its silver eyes went dark and its body went still. Silence filled the bridge. Gently closed the alien's eyes, removed his cap out of respect, wiped tears from her face. Walked to the main window and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, 3,000 ships were moving toward his home, his family, everyone he had ever known. "Minu," he said quietly, "how far are we from Earth?" The young pilot checked his calculations. His face went pale. 47 days at maximum speed, Captain." 7 days too late. By the time they reached Earth, there would be nothing left to save. Slammed her fist on her console. "This is impossible. We cannot just let this happen." "We will not," said. He turned to face his crew. "These were good people, brave people. They deserved honesty. I will not lie to you. The math is against us, but we are the only ones who know what is coming. If we do not try, no one will." Scratched his gray beard. The engines are old, Captain, but I might be able to get more speed out of them. No guarantees, probably blow us all up. Probably. 60% chance we survive. Nodded, better odds than I expected. Raised her hand. Captain, I am picking up something else. A broadcast, galaxy-wide frequency. Put it through. The speakers crackled. Then a voice filled the bridge. It was deep, cold, and spoke in perfect Korean, translation technology. To all species of the Galactic Covenant, the threat known as humanity has been judged. Their expansion endangers all civilized life. Their aggression knows no limits. Their potential for destruction is unmatched. By unanimous vote, the Covenant has authorized their complete removal. The human-designated Earth will be cleansed in 40 days. Any species offering aid to humans will share their fate. This is the will of the Covenant. This is justice. The broadcast ended. Looked at his crew. He saw fear in their eyes, but he also saw something else. Anger, defiance, the same stubbornness that had carried humanity from caves to the stars. They call us a threat, said slowly. They have never even met us. They have just heard stories. Then we will give them a new story, said. Start working on those engines. Minyu, plot the fastest course home. Keep monitoring their communications. I want to know everything they say about us. And me, Captain, asked. Looked at the dead. Search its belongings. Find out everything you can about why the Covenant really fears us. Knowledge is a weapon, too. The crew moved to their stations. The hummed with new purpose. They were one small ship against an empire of 700 species. The odds were laughable. The mission was suicide. But Park had learned something in his 30 years of service. Humans did not calculate odds the same way others did. They did not see impossible walls. They saw challenges. And challenges were meant to be broken. All hands, he announced through the ship's speakers. This is your captain. We have 40 days to save our species. I suggest we get started. The turn toward Earth and began its desperate race against time. 3 days into their journey, the reality of their situation became clear. Had run the numbers 100 times. Each time she hoped for a different answer. Each time she got the same result. She finally brought her findings to the captain's quarters. Even if we reach Earth in time, she said, laying data pads on his desk, what then? Humanity's combined fleet is 200 ships. Most are small patrol vessels. Maybe 30 are warships. She pointed at a number circled in red. The Covenant Armada has 3,000. Studied the data in silence. 15 to 1 odds. Any other species would surrender. Any sane person would run. What about planetary defenses? He asked. Earth has orbital stations, missile platforms, maybe enough to stop 100 ships, shook her head. Against 3,000 they would not last an hour. Down in engineering was covered in grease and burns. He had not slept in 2 days. The old engine core was open before him, its parts spread across the floor like organs from a surgery. Minyu found him there, staring at a piece of equipment that looked older than both of them combined. Can you do it? Minyu asked. Did not look up. Do what? Make this ancient ship fly faster than it was ever designed to. Bend the laws of physics because our lives depend on it. He laughed bitterly. I am an engineer, not a magician. But can you do it? Finally met his eyes. There was exhaustion there, but also something stubborn, something unbreakable. I have an idea. It is dangerous. It might kill us all, but if it works, we can cut our travel time by 10 days, maybe more. What do you need? Time, coffee, and everyone to stop asking me questions. Minyu nodded and left the old engineer to his work. In the medical bay, Dr. Lee examined everything the dead had carried. His clothes, his personal items, a small data chip hidden in his robes. She connected the chip to her computer and began to read. Hours passed, her eyes grew wide, her hands began to shake. She found Captain on the bridge and pulled him aside. "Captain, I found something." There was a historian. He collected records of how the Covenant viewed other species. She handed him a tablet. "Look at this. These are their files on humanity." Read at first it seemed normal, descriptions of human biology, their planet, their history. Then he reached the section titled Threat Assessment. The words chilled him. Species exhibits unprecedented adaptive capability. Survived multiple extinction events including ice ages, plagues, and self-inflicted conflicts. Shows no psychological surrender response. Individuals will fight until physical death even when survival is impossible. Social structure allows both extreme cooperation and extreme violence. Technology advancement rate exceeds all known models by factor of 12. There was more, pages of it, studies of human wars, analysis of human art which the aliens found disturbing in its emotional intensity, observations of human explorers who laughed in the face of danger. The final line was the worst. Conclusion: humanity cannot be controlled or integrated. If allowed to mature, they will dominate the galaxy within 1,000 years. Recommended action: total elimination before full development is reached. Watch the captain read. They are not attacking us because we did something wrong. They are attacking us because of what we might become. Set down the tablet. They are afraid of potential. Yes, they have been watching us for centuries. Every time we survived something that should have killed us, they grew more frightened. His voice dropped. "Captain, the Covenant is not evil. They are terrified, and terrified people do terrible things." The ship shuddered. Alarms screamed to life. Ran to the bridge. Was already at her station, her face tight with focus. "We have been detected," she said. "Covenant patrol fleet, 50 ships. They are moving to intercept." On the main screen could see them. 50 vessels, each larger than their hulls gleamed with advanced technology. Their weapons were already charging. Time to intercept. 20 minutes. Bay, the security chief, stepped forward. He was a large man with hands and calm eyes. "Captain, we cannot outrun them, and we certainly cannot fight them." "I know," stared at the approaching fleet. 50 ships, 50 chances to die, 50 reasons to give up. He thought about Earth, about the people there who had no idea what was coming, about his daughter who was probably sitting in her apartment right now, reading a book, completely unaware that her world had been sentenced to death. "We have to fight," he said. Spun around. "Captain, that is suicide. Even if we destroy one ship, 49 remain. We would die for nothing." "No," turned to face her. "We would die showing them what humans do when backed into a corner. We would die teaching them that the species they plan to exterminate does not go quietly." His voice hardened. "And maybe, if we are lucky, we will hurt them badly enough that word spreads. We will become a warning, a promise of what waits for them at Earth." The bridge crew exchanged looks. Fear was there, but something else was growing, something hot and fierce. His voice crackled over the intercom. "Captain, I have been listening. My modifications are not complete, but the engines will hold for a fight, probably." "Good enough?" Took his seat at the command chair. "All hands battle stations. This is not going to be a normal fight. We are smaller, weaker, and outnumbered, so we are going to fight dirty." His fingers flew across her console. "What is the plan?" "The Covenant has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They have never met a species that fights like us. They expect formations, logic, rules." Smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We are going to be chaos. We are going to be unpredictable. We are going to be everything they fear." Minu cracked his knuckles. "I can fly us through a needle if you need me to, Captain." "I need you to fly us through hell." "Even better." The 50 ships drew closer. On their bridges, alien commanders looked at the tiny human vessel with pity. One ship, one chance. The humans would be dead in minutes. They had no idea what was coming. Opened a channel to the entire ship. "This is your captain. In 10 minutes we will engage the enemy. Many of us will not survive, but I want you to know something. Right now, across the galaxy, 700 species are telling themselves that humans are weak, that we will break, that we will beg for mercy." He paused. "Today we prove them wrong. Today we show them why they should be afraid." He closed the channel and looked at his crew. "Let us give them something to remember." The charge toward the enemy fleet, the Battle of the Void, as it would later be called, began with confusion. The alien commanders watched their screens with disbelief as the tiny human ship accelerated toward them instead of running away. Their tactical computers calculated the odds. The result was so one-sided that some thought it was a malfunction. "The human vessel is attacking," one commander reported to his fleet. "Single ship, no support, no logic to this behavior." "Perhaps their minds have broken from fear," another suggested. "Let us end this quickly." The 50 ships spread into a standard killing formation, a half-circle that would surround them from all sides. They had used this formation 10,000 times. It always worked. It did not work today. Minyu flew like a man possessed. He dove straight toward the center of the formation, then at the last second, pulled up at an angle that should have torn the ship apart. The alien vessels tried to track him, but their targeting systems were designed for predictable movement. Minyu was anything but predictable. "They are trying to lock weapons," reported, her voice tight but controlled. "I am reading their patterns. They all follow the same combat doctrine, same timing, same responses." "Then we do the opposite," said. "Minyu, take us into that asteroid cluster." The young pilot grinned. "With pleasure, Captain." They dove into a nearby field of spinning rocks. The asteroids were small, most no larger than houses, but they moved fast and unpredictably. Any sane pilot would avoid them. Minyu flew between them like water flowing through stones. 3 alien ships followed. They were confident. Their ships were faster, stronger, better armed. They did not expect them to suddenly stop behind a large asteroid, let them pass, and then fire every weapon into their exposed engines. 2 ships exploded. The third spun out of control and crashed into a rock. 3 down, announced, 47 to go. The alien fleet regrouped. Their commanders were angry now. This tiny ship had killed 3 of them through trickery. They would not fall for the same trap twice. But had more tricks. "Can you vent our reactor coolant into space?" The engineer's voice came back confused. "Yes, but why would I do that? We need it." "I need a cloud, something their sensors cannot see through. Can you do it?" "You are insane." A pause. "Yes, give me 30 seconds." They released a massive cloud of superheated gas. It spread rapidly, creating a glowing fog that scrambled enemy sensors. The alien fleet lost visual contact. Inside the cloud gave orders. "All weapons target their command ship, the big one in the center." Hesitated. "Captain, that ship has the strongest shields. We cannot break through." "I do not want to break through. I want to make them angry." They emerged from the cloud directly behind the command ship and unleashed everything. Missiles, energy beams, even old-fashioned projectiles. The command ship's shields held, but just barely. Warning alarms filled its bridge. The alien commander screamed orders. Half the fleet turned to protect him, breaking their formation. The other half tried to pursue thee as it dove back into the cloud. Chaos, beautiful, wonderful chaos. For the next 6 hours, the battle continued. They fought like nothing the aliens had ever seen. It appeared from unexpected angles. It used debris as weapons. It rammed smaller ships and survived through nothing but desperate repairs. Minyu flew until his hands bled from gripping the controls. Predicted enemy movements with terrifying accuracy, learning their patterns and exploiting their rigid thinking. Led damage control teams through burning corridors, saving the ship a dozen times. Treated wound after wound, never stopping, never complaining. jammed enemy communications, filling their channels with human music that confused and frightened them. And through it all, commanded. He made decisions in seconds that would take alien commanders minutes to consider. He trusted his crew completely, and they trusted him. By hour 8, the alien fleet was in disarray. 15 ships were destroyed, 8 more were too damaged to fight, and though was still alive. "They are retreating," said, her voice hollow with exhaustion. "The remaining ships are pulling back." On the main screen, watched the aliens flee, 23 destroyed, 12 crippled, 15 running away. 1 human ship had broken a fleet of 50. But the victory was hollow. The was dying, hull breaches on 3 decks, weapons systems at 20%, engines held together by emergency seals and prayers, 6 crew members dead, 15 wounded. Appeared on the bridge, his face black with smoke. "Captain, I can keep us flying, but we lost 6 days of travel time. The engines cannot sustain full speed anymore." 6 days. They had bought nothing but time for the enemy to fear them. Looked up from her station. "Captain, I am picking up Covenant communications. They are talking about us." "What are they saying?" She listened, then translated. "They are calling us names. Ghost, demon, monster." Her voice wavered. "They say the human ship fights like no species they have ever encountered. They are requesting 200 additional ships be added to the Earth invasion force." Closed his eyes, 23 ships destroyed, and in response 200 more would come to kill his people. Their victory had made things worse. Approached him quietly. "Captain, you should rest. You have not slept in 2 days." "How can I rest?" He stared at the distant stars. "We did everything right. We fought perfectly, and all we did was convince them to bring a bigger hammer." "No," shook her head. "We did something else. Look at your crew." Looked, he saw exhaustion, pain, grief for fallen friends, but he also saw something else. Pride, fierce, burning pride. They had done the impossible. They had faced 50 ships and survived. "The Covenant expected us to die quickly," said. "Instead, we became a legend. Word is spreading across the galaxy. 1 human ship against 50, and the humans won." She put a hand on his shoulder. "That fear we just created, that is a weapon too, maybe the most powerful weapon of all." Stood up from her station. Her uniform was torn, her face was bruised, but her eyes were blazing. "Captain, the data mentioned something. The Covenant has controlled the galaxy through strength for 10,000 years. But underneath that control, there are species who remember freedom. Species who were conquered. Species who might be waiting for a reason to hope." "What are you saying?" "I am saying that maybe our job is not just to warn Earth. Maybe our job is to show the entire galaxy that the Covenant can be beaten, that the unstoppable force everyone fears can bleed." She smiled grimly. "1 ship did this. Imagine what humanity could do united." Stood, the weight on his shoulders did not disappear, but it shifted, from despair to purpose. "Then we keep going, we make it home, we tell Earth what is coming." He looked at his crew. "And we tell them how to fight back, not with numbers, not with technology, with everything that makes us human, our creativity, our stubbornness, our absolute refusal to accept defeat." They limped forward through the darkness. Behind them, across 1,000 worlds, beings of every species whispered a new name. "The ghost that fights." The humans were coming home, and nothing would stop them. The days that followed were the hardest of their lives. They crawled through space like a wounded animal. Every system was failing. Every repair created 2 new problems. Worked without sleep, his hands shaking from exhaustion, keeping the ship alive through pure stubbornness. But the Covenant had not forgotten them. Hunters announced on the 5th day after the battle. Bounty ships, 12 of them. The Covenant is offering a massive reward for our destruction. Captain studied the sensor readings. The hunters were fast and deadly, designed for exactly this kind of pursuit. Running was impossible. Fighting again might destroy what was left of their ship. Can we hide? He asked. There is a debris field ahead, remains of some ancient battle. We could lose them there, but the radiation would be dangerous. How dangerous? Survivable, probably. Almost laughed. Every decision now came down to probably. Probably survive, probably make it, probably not die today. Take us in. The debris field was vast. Thousands of destroyed ships floated in the darkness, some so old they had become unrecognizable. The radiation made their sensors useless, but it also blinded the hunters. For 3 days, they played a game of hide and seek among the dead. The hunters came close several times. Once, an enemy ship passed so near that the crew could see its bridge through the windows. No one breathed until it moved away. On the 3rd day, they found something unexpected. Captain Minu called out, "There is a ship ahead, design, it has power." They approached carefully. The ship was a transport vessel, small and unarmed. As they drew closer, a weak signal reached them. "This is Ambassador of the Diplomatic Corps. I know who you are. I know what you did. Please, I need your help." Considered the risks. A trap was possible, but the voice sounded desperate and they needed allies. "Bring him aboard." Was different from the who had died on their ship. He was younger, with darker blue skin and eyes that held both fear and determination. He bowed deeply when he met. "Captain Park, your battle against the patrol fleet has become famous. The Covenant is terrified." He paused. "And some of us are inspired." Inspired to do what? To remember what we used to be before the Covenant conquered us. 4 arms gestured as he spoke. "My people were explorers once, dreamers. We traveled the stars seeking knowledge, not power. Then the Covenant came. They offered us a choice, join or die. We chose to live, but we lost ourselves." Stepped forward. "You tried to warn humanity. The who died on our ship, he was part of your group." "Yes, he was my mentor. When the Covenant voted to destroy your species, we tried to speak against it. We were silenced. Our delegation was murdered." His voice hardened. "But before he died, my mentor sent a message. He told me to find the human ship, to help you if I could." "Why?" asked. "Why risk everything for us?" Was quiet for a moment. "Because you are the first species in 10,000 years to make the Covenant afraid. And where there is fear, there is weakness. And where there is weakness, there is hope." He offered them something valuable, intelligence. He knew the patrol routes, the communication codes, the weaknesses in Covenant ships that no human had ever discovered. In exchange, he asked for only one thing. "When you reach Earth, when you fight back, remember us. Remember that not everyone in the galaxy wanted your destruction." Shook his hand. An alliance was formed in the darkness between a dying human ship and an outcast. The hunters eventually gave up their search. They emerged from the debris field and continued its journey, but new problems arose. Had been working non-stop to crack Covenant communications. On the 18th day, she succeeded. "I have their invasion timeline," she announced, her face pale. "The Armada will reach Earth in 12 days. We are still 16 days away." The numbers hit the crew like a physical blow, 4 days too late. After everything they had survived, they would arrive to find ashes. Stepped forward. "My engine modifications. I told you they were dangerous, but if they work, we could cut our travel time by 6 days. And if they do not work? The ship explodes and we all die instantly." He shrugged. "Better than arriving late." Looked at his crew. They had given everything, bled for this mission, watched friends die, and now he was asking them to risk everything one more time. Spoke first. "I would rather die trying than live knowing we failed." Minu nodded. "I did not become a pilot to play it safe." Cracked his knuckles. "Just tell me what to shoot." One by one they agreed. Even who had only known them for days chose to stay. "Your people have a saying," they said. "Go big or go home." I believe this qualifies as both. The modifications took 2 days. Worked like a man possessed, rewiring systems, bypassing safety protocols, turning their engines into something that had never existed before. When he finished, he looked at his work with a mixture of pride and fear. It will either be the greatest thing I ever built or the last thing I ever built, probably both. Before they could test the engines, one final obstacle appeared. Covenant Dreadnought reported, 3 kilometers long, it was waiting for us. They knew our course. The Dreadnought was enormous, a moving fortress with enough weapons to destroy a planet. Against it, there was an insect. We cannot fight that, said. We cannot outrun it either, not until the new engines are online. Stared at the monster blocking their path. His mind raced through options. Run, hide, surrender, all of them led to failure. Then spoke. There is another way. Design parts of that ship. I know its weaknesses. If a team could board it and reach the engine core. You want to board a ship with 10,000 crew members. I want to give you a chance. Their engines are vulnerable. Destroy them and the ship cannot pursue you. It was insane, suicidal, exactly the kind of plan the Covenant would never expect. Said, pick your best people, you are going for a walk. The boarding operation was chaos. Led 12 crew members across the void in emergency suits. They cut through the Dreadnought's hull while they distracted its weapons with desperate maneuvers. Inside, they fought through corridors filled with alien soldiers. Humans were smaller than most species, but they were faster, meaner, and more willing to die. Lost 4 of his team, but they reached the engine core. They planted explosives. They ran. They barely made it back to the before the Dreadnought's engines exploded in a cascade of fire. The massive ship did not die, but it could not move. It hung in space, helpless, as the tiny human vessel flew past it. Jump drive ready, Captain, reported. Looked at his crew, bleeding, exhausted, unbroken. Take us home. They jumped. The stars stretched into lines of light, and somewhere behind them, the Covenant watched in disbelief as the impossible ship escaped once again. They were going home, and they were bringing war with them. They arrived at Earth with 2 days to spare. The ship was barely recognizable. Half the hull was blackened. Emergency seals covered dozens of breaches. The engines made sounds that said no engine should ever make, but they had made it. Park stood on the bridge as Earth filled the main window. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds, home. It looked so peaceful, so unaware of what was coming. Within an hour, he was standing before the United Earth Council. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, the most powerful people on the planet, all staring at him with expressions ranging from disbelief to terror. He told them everything. The Covenant, the vote, the armada of 3,200 ships that would arrive in 48 hours. He showed them the data. He showed them recordings of the battles. He showed them proof that humanity had been sentenced to death. When he finished, silence filled the chamber. 3,000 ships, one general said. We have 200. Then we need a different strategy, replied. Stepped forward. She had prepared for this moment. On a large screen, she displayed her battle plans. The Covenant fights with discipline, formations, rules, predictable patterns. She pointed to diagrams of their fleet formations. They have never lost because they have never faced an enemy that thinks differently, but we have something they do not understand. What is that? Madness, smiled grimly. Human madness. Our pilots will fly maneuvers that their computers say are impossible. Our soldiers will board their ships and fight hand to hand. Our entire strategy will be so illogical, so unpredictable, that their tactical systems will not know how to respond. Another council member shook his head. You are asking us to bet humanity's survival on chaos. No, I am asking you to bet on humanity. His voice hardened. We are the species that climbed out of caves and reached the stars. We are the species that survived ice ages, plagues, and wars against ourselves. We do not know how to give up. We do not know how to accept defeat. And that is exactly what the Covenant fears. The debate lasted hours. Some wanted to evacuate, some wanted to surrender, some wanted to fight. In the end, the fighters won. What choice did they have? The next 2 days were a blur of preparation. Every ship that could fly was pressed into service. Every weapon was loaded. Every pilot, soldier, and crew member said goodbye to their families, not knowing if they would see them again. Barely slept. He coordinated with fleet commanders, shared everything he had learned about Covenant tactics, and answered endless questions. But in the quiet moments, he found time to call his daughter. "Dad," she said, her face filling his screen. "I saw the news. Is it true?" "Yes, I am sorry. I wish I could have given you better news." "Are we going to die?" He paused. Every instinct told him to lie, to comfort her, to say everything would be fine. But she deserved the truth. "I do not know, but I know this. We are going to fight, and if we die standing up." She was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, and it was his smile, the stubborn one that had carried him through every impossible situation. "Give them hell, Dad." "I will." The Armada arrived exactly on schedule. 3,200 ships emerged from hyperspace. They filled the sky, blocking out the stars. They were beautiful in their terrible way, gleaming monuments to a civilization that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Against them, humanity's fleet looked pathetic. 200 ships spread thin across Earth's orbital space, David against Goliath, the mouse against the elephant. The Covenant commander broadcast a message. "Humans, you have been judged. Your extinction is inevitable. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Resist and you will suffer." Answered from the bridge of the. His ship had been repaired enough to fight, though said it might fall apart at any moment. "This is Captain Park of the Earth vessel. You call us dangerous. You call us a threat. You are right. We are everything you fear." He leaned forward. "Come and get us." The battle began. It was not a battle in the traditional sense. It was chaos given form. Human ships dove into the enemy fleet like sharks into a school of fish. They ignored formations. They broke every rule of space combat. They fought with a fury that the Covenant had never witnessed. Minyu piloted through impossible gaps in the enemy formation, called out targets, prioritizing command ships and communication vessels, led boarding parties onto enemy craft, capturing ships from the inside. Human pilots flew maneuvers that killed half of them from the G-forces alone, but the ones who survived wreaked havoc. They rammed enemy ships. They ejected from their cockpits and shot through windows to reach alien bridges. They turned themselves into weapons. The Covenant could not adapt. Their computers calculated human behavior as illogical. Their formations broke as commanders tried to respond to attacks from every direction. Their soldiers panicked when humans appeared inside their ships, fighting with knives and fists when their guns ran dry. But it was not enough. For every Covenant ship destroyed, 5 more took its place. The human fleet was being torn apart. Earth's orbital defenses were falling. Defeat was inevitable. Then something impossible happened. 30 ships broke from the Covenant formation. Ships. They turned their weapons on their own allies and began firing. Intercepted the transmission. "This is the Liberation Front. We stand with humanity. The Covenant does not speak for us. We will not participate in genocide." Standing on the bridge, watched with tears in his eyes. "They heard our broadcasts. They saw what you did. They chose hope." More defections followed. Species that had been conquered by the Covenant. Species that had been afraid for thousands of years. They saw humans fighting against impossible odds and remembered what courage looked like. 50 ships turned, then 100, then 200. The Covenant Armada fractured. Half was still fighting. The other half was fighting itself. The disciplined formation that had never been broken was collapsing into civil war. Seize the moment. All ships, concentrate fire on the command vessel, cut off the head and the body will fall. They led the charge. It was suicide. The command vessel had enough weapons to destroy them 100 times over, but humans did not care about odds. They cared about victory. Found a weakness, a gap in the shields near the engine section. Minyu flew toward it, dodging fire that should have killed them instantly, routed all power to weapons. They fired everything, every missile, every beam, every ounce of energy they had left. The command vessel exploded. Without leadership, without coordination, the Covenant fleet broke completely. Ships fled in all directions. Those that stayed were destroyed by the combined human and rebel forces. The battle was over. Humanity had won. The aftermath was quiet. Earth was damaged but alive. The human fleet was reduced to 80 ships. Thousands had died, but millions, billions had survived. Stood before the United Earth Council once again. They wanted to know how. How had one ship started a revolution? How had 200 vessels defeated 3,000? He thought about his crew, about tactics and Minyu's flying, about impossible repairs and tireless care, about bravery and dedication, about who had risked everything for species not his own. We did not win because we were stronger, said. We won because we refused to accept defeat. We won because we fought in ways they could not predict. We won because being human means never giving up, even when the math says we should. He paused. They called us a threat. They were right, not because we are violent or dangerous, but because we inspire others. We showed the galaxy that the Covenant can be beaten, and now everything changes. 6 months later, they launched again. The ship was fully repaired, upgraded with technology from a dozen grateful species. Behind it flew a fleet of 50 human vessels, and behind them, ships from 15 different civilizations, all flying together under a new banner. The Galactic Alliance, built not on conquest but on hope, built because one small ship had shown the universe what courage looked like. Stood on his bridge, watching the stars stretch before him. Beside him, his crew, his family, prepared for the next adventure. Checked tactical displays. Minyu flexed his fingers over the controls, complained about the new engines being too quiet, organized medical supplies, sharpened his blade, scanned for signals, stood among them as an equal finally home. "Where to, Captain?" Minyu asked. Smiled everywhere. "We have a galaxy to explore, and this time we are not alone." The jump to hyperspace, leading humanity into a new age. The galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere, across 1,000 worlds, beings of every species told a story to their children. A story of a tiny ship that challenged an empire. A story of a species that looked at impossible odds and said 2 words. "Watch me."